She kept diaries for much of her life, but we were focused on the last period of her life from January 1 of 1950 through July 3rd of 1987.
In the beginning stages of the COVID-19 pandemic, the library was facing a dilemma with its staff. It needed a way to provide its staff with work from remote locations, and that's when the idea clicked. This is David Peters.
I'm the department head for the OSU Archives, which is a part of the OSU Library at Oklahoma State University.
The Angie Debo collection at the OSU Archives holds many diary entries and letters, primarily written in script. So, the library decided that it was time to digitally transcribe all of those materials.
We created this for staff, and I had a number of departments outside of the archive then contact me when they would let me know that individuals were available to participate in the transcription project. I would provide those individuals then with the guidelines we're using for the transcriptions, because many people haven't done transcriptions before. And so we would provide them kind of a template and guidelines for how they could manage that material. And then once they understood what we were doing, they'd kind of sign off, yes, I'm ready to start working. Then I would assign them a batch of files. And it was initially staff people. And then eventually it grew into more and more student laborers, student assistants who could assist with the project. And the students have been very helpful in this too. And anytime along the way, if they had questions, they could contact me and we could try to work through their understanding of what we were trying to do. And so it was simply trying to manage all of these folks. Normally I have about 5 or 6 people working for me. And this grew into a much larger a number of folks that were working with us.
But what is the inspiration behind the library transcribing letters and diary entries? What's the purpose?
Initially, the thought was the diaries would give people access to her, kind of the background. What was she thinking as she was writing? What was she thinking about life, in the world she was living in? What were her motivations? And so we were just trying to add another layer of understanding about Dr. Debo and her life. And so initially, that's why we started with the diary entries. And they're just very vivid and thoughtful, and I think it's just amazing to see someone's personal thoughts and be able to read them, so many years later.
This project is one that is still ongoing, which means the archives is still learning new things as letters and entries are being transcribed.
We've learned, at least about Dr. Debo, we've learned more about some of the meaningful things in her life and some of her priorities. With the project, I've learned some interesting things in that we have students now who can't read script writing. They were not taught script. They've had keyboards their whole lives.
Growing up, many of us were taught how to read and write in cursive, allowing us to review important and interesting documents with accuracy. However, as we grow closer toward a digital age, students are learning more about digital methods of writing via computers and tablets. This means that less and less students are being taught cursive.
Oftentimes, I've assigned a batch to a student, and then they've contacted me and said, well, I'm sorry, I just simply can't read script writing. So that was kind of interesting for me as an older person that I just thought everyone knew how to read scripts. But I've really been pleased with everyone's willingness to participate. It's a difficult thing when you're trying to read someone's writing you're not familiar with. It takes time and just the effort. I've really been pleased with the effort, especially some of the students. I've had some student transcribers that just have done marvelous work. That's what they're doing is kind of the first draft. We have Dr. Kurt Anderson is going through all of the entries, making sure it truly reflects what she had written. But some of their first drafts were just wonderful. They really had spent time and were able to transfer her writing into Word documents that'll be easy for anyone to search.
So does this make room for future transcription projects?
The situation may be a little different, but I think we've learned that now we understand we have this capability. And so if an opportunity presents itself in the future, we're able to adjust and kind of modify what we do a little bit Because so much of what we do in the archives world is hands-on. It's working with items, in collections. And so this was an example or a time where we had a challenge, and we could work in a digital world. And so all this could be done remotely from a variety of different locations. They didn't have to work in the archives. They could work wherever they were located. And so I think there might be potential in the future to explore possibilities like this. So even if it's not a quarantine or a pandemic, we might be able to provide opportunities for people to provide services and skills for a project we might have that I can't even foresee right now.
Being able to digitally transcribe written notes is important to the archives because of what's been learned, not just about Dr. Debo, but about the library's own capabilities.
This is a very time consuming process. And so in normal times, we just wouldn't have the resources to allocate that much time and effort to something like this. You can do crowdsourcing sometimes where you put material out there, and then, people can transcribe or do different things, as a part of a crowd. But here was an opportunity where we could take advantage of a situation where people still needed to have work to do, and we needed, well, we didn't need it. We really hoped that we could do this project, though, with those resources available to us. You strike when the fire is hot, and we had a window of time where, okay, if we have a project, here's it. Let's jump in with both feet, and so we jumped.
To check out the Angie Debo portal that houses the transcribed notes, visit debo.library.okstate.edu/life/diaries.